Hi everybody, welcome back to Petition Play Chats with my Play Pals. I'm really excited today for my guest. I've got the incredible Lisa John with me, and she works with children in a I must say, the best job ever. She gets to work in the sunshine in Greece by the sea. Who wouldn't want that? Um, in with our children when they are on holidays, and she is so extremely passionate about the power of play. She completely, when the first time I spoke to her, I was like, this needs to be a podcast. I was like, what we are talking about right now, everybody needs to hear the words that come out of your mouth. I said preach at one time. I was like, this is amazing. So here we are. She's on the podcast. I'm going to allow her to introduce herself, and then we're going to delve straight in, talk about why everybody needs to go and sign our petition, join our campaign to make play-based learning statutory in Key Stage 1. Lisa, welcome.
Hi. Hello. Hi. And thank you so much, Ruth, for having me here. It's super easy for me to be here and to talk about play because I feel that it should be the heart of what we all do. And one of the sayings that I've always loved is creative adults survive childhood. And the reason why I say this is because I feel that there's so much pressure put on children with regards to conforming and doing things at set times. And I think at a young age, so much pressure on formal learning and a lack of play, which is really sad. So much so that myself, I've got a background in early years. So I've worked in lots of nursery settings as area manager. And at one point, I was looking into, do I want to go into education in schools? And as I dig deeper into it, the answer was for me clearly no, because I felt like it would go against what I feel is right for the children. And that is that they get to learn through play. And there's so much research that backs it up. I constantly hear myself saying, like, why is this something that we have to campaign about? Because it's obvious that children learn through play. And even as adults, I always say when we're feeling burnt out or stressed, we go back to playful things. We go back to being in nature to reconnect and find our purpose and feel good. So to me, it just feels like it's a no-brainer that this is something that we should be championing in children.
Yeah,
So
completely agree. It's so powerful what you've just said. What do you do now? What is your I described it as being in the sunshine, but it's so much more than
yeah.
that.
Yeah. So my current role, so I'm Kids Experience Director for a resort group. So we are in Greece and we have properties as well in Spain. So I have like 11 kids clubs that I oversee. And for me, what I want is for the children to have the opposite of what they experience in school when they come on holidays and they're at kids club. And for me, that means that they're learning based on their own ideas, their own curiosity. They get to play, they get to have fun without constrictions or preconceived ideas of how they should learn and what they should do. I feel like they are their best teachers when we give them the space to be able to explore. And yes, we can support that in many ways, but I feel that the way that we approach Key Stage 1 specifically is not supportive of most, I pretty much go as saying all children, because I said before, like I feel some children do find it okay and they are able to kind of thrive in that environment, but they're not able to fully be free to explore because that's not what the education system provides for them at this point, which is why when I saw this campaign, I was like, what can I do? How can I help? Can I share this? And literally, I think I've shared it on my stories pretty much every day since I've seen it because I believe in this so much, so much. And as a mum myself, so now my son is 20 months old. I'm obviously thinking about his next steps when he gets to school age. And at the moment, I'm considering and looking into flexi schooling and eventually, if I can make it all work, home educating. Because right now, I don't feel like the education system that we have in England supports children in their early years. And I've seen many examples from like my nieces and nephews and children's friends, um, friends' children, where children go into school and they're excited to be in school, going to big school, it's like an exciting thing for them. And they thrive in reception where they get to play. and then they start year one and it's like a harsh kind of reality and they're 5. So it just seems really sad that at such a young age we take away that play for them and they get to play at break time where they should be playing and learning and thriving and flourishing and wanting to be there, not feeling like they don't like school. When I hear a young child say, I don't like school, it does break my heart a little bit because I feel like we're failing them because we're not giving them spaces that are right and fit for purpose for their stage of development.
I can
So,
relate to so many things that you've just said there. The first thing is when I was teaching, when I was a deputy head teacher, and I used to have a really play-based classroom, we got taken over by a mat. At that point, I was told I basically had to strip all the play out of my key stage one classroom. The creative area, the role play area, like it just had to go. The play, everything that I had to go. And as a person, I honestly used to say to myself, my heart's telling me that this is so wrong. And
mm,
yet my head's telling me, but I need to pay my bills. I need to pay my mortgage. This is my job. I even started to doubt myself. I was like, do you know what? Maybe I got it wrong. Maybe all that years of experience isn't how children learn. And you sort of spiral into this way of thinking where you're like, it's painful, it hurts. And I think so many people can relate to what you're saying that as a professional, an early years expert, an early years professional who understands how our young children learn, who know that play is the best way, who knows that that is crucial until they are at least 8 years old. We need it beyond them, but it is crucial here that we're all saying this, and actually, then for your own child, like you're saying, it's really difficult to be like, well, what do I do for them? So you're considering like flexi school, you're considering home education, and that's as a professional who works with children on a daily basis, who understands the educational system, that you truly believe your son will be better not in it because of how it is currently, and you're not alone. And that's the
yeah.
thing. You're not alone. Home education has risen year on year on year on year post pre-pandemic. And I genuinely believe there's a multitude of reasons, but the way we are teaching our children, this formal instruction is one of the biggest reasons. What do you think about that?
I completely agree. I 100% agree. And when I see my son now, like the way that he learns and the way that he plays, I know that he's not going to have the provision to do that.
Hmm.
So that's why I'm making my plans now. Like I feel that when he goes to school, even for me personally, even like school, like reception, I think it's great because it's play based. But for me, I want him to be able to have more time outside because he loves being outside. And even the kind of structure of the small break times that they have being outside
Mhm.
doesn't feel that it's right for me. So, and the reason why I'm so passionate about supporting this campaign is I know that with my knowledge and what I know and how I'm observing my son and seeing how he as an individual likes to play and explore, that I'm definitely not going to put him into full-time school. And I've got the option to do that, and I'm working on how can I make it more permanent so that I can home educate him in the future and create something for him that's special and meets his needs.
Mhm.
Now, obviously, I know that that's very unique to one child, but for me, I'm thinking about all of the other children that have to go to school, and maybe their parents aren't in a position to think about flexi schooling or home education. Because I've spoken to many people that understand and agree with what I'm saying and agree with play being like instinctively, they can understand why children should play. Maybe they don't understand the research side of it, which is why I think all the research that you've been sharing is amazing because it breaks it down and it helps people understand why this is so important. You don't get a second chance for a childhood. So I want to help as many children as possible have play in the classroom so that if they can't have an alternative style of education,
Mhm.
the education is more fit for their purpose at their stage of learning and their age. So I think it's the single most important thing we can do to create a better sense of well-being in children because we need to meet their needs when they're young because we don't have an option to go back.
Mhm.
And if we strip it from them at such a young age, as I said before, I do think it's failing them. And I think that one thing that we can all do is sign this petition and share it and talk about this more, because if we all come together and use our voices, we can actually then support our children, because at this stage they can't use their voice to say what they need. So I just think it's our duty as parents, as adults who care about children, to really champion this and support this, because we need people to listen to what's important. There's so much research to back it up. So it's not just that, we're these kind of like this group of alternative people that think something is like, so kind of not in the mainstream, because it is mainstream and it is clearly there and the research backs that up. So I feel like change needs to happen.
Well, I was on LBC News on Saturday morning with Matthew Wright, and it was like a quite a short interview, but in that time he literally relayed that he completely agreed. And 100 and we're nearly at 105,000 signatures now of individuals that agree. We're starting to collate organizations that publicly agree. I'm struggling to find people that don't agree. In the sense of when you actually talk to people and you say, this is how children learn, here's the research, why are we not providing this? People are like, oh, yeah, why are we not providing this? And
Mm.
these are the types of questions that we need to get into government because the way that the system is set up anyway, this is a conversation for another day, but the people that make these decisions are not ex-teachers. They don't really understand. The way it works is they're just leading on education. And so, when I think about it, sometimes I'm like, well, we can't expect them to know everything. They should, but that's a flaw with the system. We can't expect them to. So through the campaign, it's an education piece. We're
Mm.
educating people about why it's important so that we can make the change. And I truly believe we can. And even if when am I going to say that? I was going to say, even if it doesn't become stat, we're not going to say that it is going to become statutory. But
Yes.
I do want to make really clear is whatever your position, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a TA, whether you're, I don't know, an occupational therapist, whether you're a parent, whether you work within the holiday industry like yourself, whatever your position is, there's nothing to stop you from today saying, right, we're going to be more playful. We're going to allow our children to play more. We're going to do whatever we can to be enablers of true, deep, child-centered play as opposed to constrictors when you might not even realize like this is where it goes into sort of culture and
Mm.
how we've been brought up as a generation, what we've experienced, and what our teachers have been trained in the last 10, 14 years. So there is going to be a huge culture shock, but there's nothing to stop anybody taking action tomorrow. Have you got any advice for somebody who perhaps is in a school or perhaps has a job where they work with children in some capacity? I'm thinking it could be like an after school club or a wraparound care, anything like that. How they could make that transition from um, more formalized, more sort of adult-led play and learning into let's put our children at the heart. Where do they need to start? What do they need to do? What would you do?
I'd say the simple place to start is to watch the children, learn from the children, and allow them to be curious. And instead of like stopping something that they're trying to do that might be different to what was maybe planned, if it's an activity that's planned for the children, is to, as long as I always say, as long as it's safe and as long as it's not impacting the group, allow them to be curious, because you'll often see that that creates an invitation for other children to get involved too. And if we let them be and let them explore, they're going to do and create lots of things that, aren't even within our remit of thinking about. So it's about letting them lead. And I would also say, like, have these conversations, like, with the people that you're working with, like, talk to them about the power of play, share research with them, be really open to having that curious conversation with each other so that you're not feeling like you're trying to do something without having your peers and the people that you're working with supporting it. So I think that, have those conversations together as a team. and start by allowing the children to just be and to do. And you're going to be kind of really surprised and um, probably, I suspect, you're going to see the magic happen when the children are allowed and given the freedom and the space to explore.
I love that word, see the magic happen. That's exactly it. And I know this has probably happened to you, but when we talk about play, there's so many aspects within play, but actually one part of play is allowing our children to be creative, is allowing them to follow their own direction when it comes to things like their own art or their own design and technology. And one thing that we quite often get home as parents are beautiful Christmas cards or really nice Easter cards. And quite often you can look at it. I have a million of these at home, and I'm like, wow, that's a lovely card that it
You
looks
didn't do it.
like you have not done. And it's so crucial that we enable our adults who are working with our children to be like, actually, use a playful approach. Let the child guide their learning here, guide what they want to create. And have you experienced that? And obviously, within early years, probably quite a lot
All the
more in your
time.
thoughts. Tell me all about that.
Yeah, I've experienced that so many times. So for me, I'm always encouraging like colleagues and people that I work with. And way back when I used to deliver play and art classes to parents of children. And it would be the parents as well. Like if we were doing like an art project, like saying the eyes go there, only two. And the child will need to put lots of eyes on like the little googly eyes for an art project. And I always say it's the process, not the product. Um, you know, children, because they do an art piece where they want to do lots of different eyes, they're not going to think that we have a million eyes because they're using that expression in their art. It's art. So
Mhm.
it's like let them enjoy the process. Don't worry about the product. That doesn't need to look a particular way. It's not really about what it looks like. It's about the children being able to explore in the process. And one of my things is not stopping them. Like, for example, if they're getting messy, like if you're worried about what they're wearing, you need to just put clothes on them that you're like, okay, it's okay if they get paint everywhere. Like my son, we go to a sensory class and he literally has an outfit that we wear every time we go to that class. And it's just, when I look at that outfit now, I see an artist because it's literally got lots of paint stains everywhere. Because I literally just let him like roll in the paint. And like to see his joy when he's doing that is amazing. And if we're constantly stopping them, putting barriers in their process to explore, we're not allowing them freedom of expression and we're not allowing them to learn by enjoying the process. So I would always say focus on the process, not the product, and let children enjoy and have fun and just don't worry about the mess too much. And I think that especially if you're going to a class or you're doing something in that kind of area, just be free and let them be messy.
And like the skills that you've just spoken about there, so there's problem solving where they're working out what to do. There's even skills like, for example, if they're making a card and they've got the glue and they need to squirt the glue out, you can tell when children are in key stage one which children have been let free on the glue and which children haven't, because the children that have developed that skill of understanding I need to squeeze this much to get the amount that I need out. The kids
Hmm.
that have never been allowed to play, have never been allowed to explore, to see what it feels like to squeeze it and the cause and effect of that. You give them some squeezy glue, the whole glue will be on your piece of paper.
Hmm.
We need to let this happen. We need to understand that learning is a journey. They
It's a
won't
journey.
learn if we block the first bit of learning. Yeah, it might be a bit messy. Yes, it might be a bit inconvenient for us, but that's our children's learning, and it's so crucial that we let them do it in a way that is free for them at that age, so that then they can build on that. And the more blocks we put in, we prevent their learning journey. We put barriers in, we block them, And I went to a school on Monday, St. Michael's in, oh, I can't remember what it's called. It begins with an A. I'll put it in the show notes. St. Mike, if you search St. Michael's Continuous Bridging.
It'll come up, yeah.
Yeah, it was quite funny when I was there and I was talking to others and they were like, oh yeah, I'm from this little village. And I was nodding like I'm literally from 3 hours away. I got up at I don't know any of these places. My point was that the children that were playing within the setting, I could see the progression. So I could see how the children in reception, who were in the creative area, were clearly developing their skills. And then I went into year two, and all of a sudden they're using they had a glue gun out. They weren't just using a Pritt stick. They had like fine sort of sharp utensils they were using to like craft
Wow.
things. They were trusted to use these independently as part of their play because they've been on that journey. Whereas most year two classes I go into, it's a pair of scissors and then it's a Pritt stick. And where's the progression? Because we hinder it, we don't encourage it.
Yeah, no, it's so true. And I went on a trip to Iceland about I think about maybe 4 or 5 years ago now. And it was I was blown away by what I could see with the children. And they were like from early years to up to key stage one age, with the things that they were able to do because of the experiences that they had. And I literally was blown away. Like for example, um at just 5 years old, 4 or 5 years old, they were going independently to like a cafeteria to have their lunch,
Mhm.
picking up their tray. They were allowed to pour independently, go and set their tray, eat their lunch, take it. And I was just like, wow, because of the independence and the creativity that they're allowed to explore every day, which means their skills are more advanced in those areas. So we went into the forest and they will literally use a little knife to carve would, and these 4 or 5 year olds. And I was just like, they were so skilled in it with the way they were holding it, the way they were carving, because they had these experiences and even climbing in the forest and being free to climb and fall and figure out together how to get up before someone got involved and supported them. And there obviously was support there as and when they needed it, but they were just given freedom to explore and figure things out themselves and problem solve. And to see it all happening was literally like, wow. Because, when you restrict children so much, especially like risky play is another thing that I'm very like an advocate of risky play because I feel that when we constantly telling children to stop, be careful, we're not allowing them to explore, we're not allowing them to climb. We're hindering their development in being able to do these things. Like my son is a climber, and sometimes I have to kind of like remind myself now because it's instinctive, I know sometimes to kind of like try and prevent them having a little accident. But ultimately, by giving them the freedom to explore, they become more skilled at what they're doing and they're able to navigate it. Exactly like what you were saying about the glue. They know when to stop, they know what the cause and effect of whatever it is they're doing. And by letting them play and explore more, we allow them to develop these skills more and become more independent, like free thinking learners that have the freedom.
And that is exactly what we want for our children in Key Stage 1. That doesn't stop the day you turn 5. You need it even more the day you turn 5. And my reasoning for that is the day you turn 5, you suddenly become subjected to all of these assessments, all of these tests. Play becomes even more important in your educational journey for you to be able, like your well-being alongside your cognitive development and your social and your emotional and mental health and your physical development, like you were saying there, which underpins all those skills that we want in education. Like they need to be able to write, they need to be able to do all of that. Well, they're only going to be able to do that if we give them risky play, if we give them opportunities to move freely and to excel. I absolutely love how you have summed that up. And some of my favorite words from this session today, what you've spoken about, magic. Like it is all about the magic. I really love how you are a professional within early years, working with children in a range of different roles, and how you're reflecting on the education system not being appropriate for our children. That's powerful because
Mm,
if we are the experts and as teachers, as practitioners, we're the ones that work with the kids. If we're saying it's not set up and suitable, then we know that it needs change. And I love what you've spoken about as well of just allowing them to be free. And
mm.
sometimes people hear that word and they say, we're allowing them to be free. Well, when are they going to learn? But play isn't
That is learning.
learning
Play is
exactly.
learning.
Tell me something to finish on about play is learning. What's the biggest takeaway that you want people to remember in their mind?
I want them to remember it's not about what you memorize, it's not about a test that you're required to do. It's about the experiences that you have, and it's about allowing children to have those experiences and prioritizing play because it's the experiences of the children playing and doing that are going to be the long-lasting experiences that help them in the world that we're living in today. Memorizing something that AI can tell us is not going to be the thing that helps them in their future. So just allowing them to, be creative, to explore and to have the opportunity to have practical, hands-on, real life learning, it's going to be like instrumental in helping them in the future. And I think that that's the one thing that I would want people to take away with is that play is learning. And in that process, they're going to learn more than they ever could by being asked to memorize something for a test result.
I love that. What a way to end. It absolutely is. Where can people find you if they would like to find you?
Yeah, so if you'd like to find me, I'm on Instagram at Lisa John Coaching, and I share different things about my experiences with children and my son's journey as well.
Amazing. I feel like you're going to have quite a few parents reaching out to you now, like, Lisa, I want to talk to you. Tell me about flexi schooling, home ed, everything. Please do. That is the whole purpose of this. We just want to spread awareness. We want to make this statutory for our children. And as Lisa's summed up so brilliantly, this is so crucial for our children. Thank you so much for joining us
Thank you. Thank you
today.
so much.
And hopefully the carries on shining where you are. It's very grey and wet here, so you're in a much better place.
Send, Sending you blue skies.
Take care. It's lovely to speak to you.
You too. Thank you.